Good morning, the 14th of October, a nice bright morning, 2022. The serenity of this video is damaged adversely by these massive industrial wind turbines, which I have dedicated part of my life to ending the nightmare of in rural Ireland and elsewhere. This is a ring fort, and there's a book called The Ring Fort of Ireland. You'll get it there, it can be bought if you're interested, and it's very good. And these were used for living in, but they were mostly used as animal stockades, and they all have a water fort around them, which was where they dug out the perimeter of the fort, the ring around, and also it served perhaps as for defensive purposes, in that anyone trying to break in had to get down into the water and climb up. This one and most of them have a southerly entrance, and they're used to say that there's a fort, one fort you can see 7 other forts. There's one to my left here, and it's scary, and it's a big one, and this is a southern entrance, and there's 2 to my right in the townland of Rara, which means rat, and rat is the Irish word for fort. Now, this fort are said to have been started to be built about the 6th century to the 8th century, so this one is between 12 and 1400 years old. It's a ring, it's about 38 meters across, and it has trees growing around the perimeter, because it's more or less left as just a wildlife area. It has very little commercial value. Cattle are allowed in, and they can come in and graze a bit and do what they want to do. Now, this fort, I had a cow due to calve. I've only one due for this month, and she selected this fort as the location to go into labour and have her calf. And she had him last night, and I've brought her down a little bit of hay, which she's already eaten, to give her a bit of a boost for her great job. And she's a good big limousine 4-year-old cow. And there, if she'd let me see him, is the little heifer calf. So you can see him in there having a lie down for himself. And she doesn't like you going too near him, but you can see him, see her, a grand little heifer calf, and that's out of a purebred AI bull, and that means that the continuity of the breeding continues. That hopefully, if all goes well, I don't know if there's any wood around to touch, but I can touch a fern. If all goes well, will develop into a nice heifer. So folks, that's it. Fair play to the mother and the calf, and what a place to pick. It's windy here, and no matter how cold or anything it gets, it's sheltered. It's some spot for a cow to have a calf, and she had 26 acres to pick from, and she still selected the old ring fort. What I find fascinating about it is that that calf is probably the last in a line of calves born here. Although I don't remember long ago them being born here, but they used to go in here, but that maybe they were locked out of it, I don't know. But that calf is probably one of the last of a line of calves born here over the last 1400 years. Because what I think happened was there was no barbed wire, there were no fences as there were now. The ditches you have in Ireland now were built in Elizabethan times, and they'd let the cattle out, and they'd have to bring them in every night, otherwise they'd all ramble through the country. So they brought them in, and then they let them out to graze during the day. That seems to be the case. And so if that's the case, there would have always been cattle around here in ancient times. So my grandmother lived to 1970. She was almost 100. She lived with us, and she taught me this poem, which I'm going to make an effort to recite. I don't know who wrote it. I'm just going to recite it to you now as best I can, and I may have to pause if I get stuck. So here we go. Now, if you can imagine that long ago at most houses there was a hired boy, and there was a girl, at least one maid, a domestic servant, and there might be more. In this place here, there was one boy and 2 girls hired. That was the way it was way back in 1900. So if you can imagine about the turn of the century, from 1890 to 1910, around there, I suppose this would have been wrote. That was the time when an awful lot of English poems were written, and I think it is an English writer who wrote it. So we'll give it a go, and we start off. Lo, the sun is o'er the hilltop, lo, the morning breaks it clear. Merry sounds of mirth and labour awaken in the farmyard near. See the cock sit on the barn door, crowing merrily and loud, as he shakes his crimson feathers, as he preens his pinions proud. See the brown hen walk below him, picking grains up from the floor. Bring the nest egg, bring it quickly, from the nest behind the door. See the milkmaid at her leisure, as she sets her stool so low, and she fills a gentle measure, as she makes the white milk flow. From the dern cow, meek and quiet, waiting patient, long to hear, never lifts a foot in anger, never shrieks aside in fear. With a spade across his shoulder to the field the workman goes, and the watchdog, his work over, seeks his kennel for repose. There I see the horse in harness, waiting by the empty cart. All is cheerful, all is ready, and the joy runs through my heart. There I see the horse in harness, waiting patiently and good. For the law to man is given, we must work to win our food. Folks, thumb up, thumb down if you enjoyed the video, and we'll see you back for something else, and please comment underneath whatever you wish to say. Bye bye, good luck, bye.